Coming up in this episode, I'm back with a roundup of the Magic Weekend with some important numbers, and reported changes to the salary cap have been confirmed. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and if you want to continue seeing more. I ask you to subscribe because it doesn't cost you a thing, and I hope that you're liking this content. Anyway, so I'm back after a few days off. I took a few days to myself, just to take the few days I needed to. Everyone deserves a break every now and again, and I thought I could come back refreshed, full of vim and vigour, so that I could bring you the rugby league news that matters. And we're going to do a quick recap to begin with the Magic Weekend, as it has been a relative success compared to others in the past, with the 6 highest attendance and also some exciting games. There was a couple of blowouts, I must admit, but one blowout and one that was against what I think would have happened, to be fair. But it was great results all around. Anyway, let's get into it. So we start off on Saturday with a respectable 17,000 in attendance. Silver Red Devils beat Hull KR 26 points to 16, and Mark Sneed was good with a boot. Hull KR was suffering from ill discipline as they gave away 4 penalties what Mark Sneed kicked over, plus his 3 conversions sent Salford ahead to the win. Tries from Burgess, Kensio and Ryan Atkin saw Salford, who had welcomed back a couple of players in CO and also Tim Lifey to the matchday squad, saw them be victorious over the Robins. The Robins had Elliot Minchella, George King and Ryan Hall to thank for their tries, while Lachlan Coote kicked over 2 conversions. We then moved on to Game 2, where we saw Wigan Warriors face Catalan Dragons, and it was the Dragons that came over with the win. Tom Johnson was the star of the show as he went over for a hat-trick of tries. Sam Tompkins opened the scoring for Catalans after Jake Wardle's try in the 9th minute, but Catalans were relentless as they scored 2 more from Matt Whitley, 1 from Artem Morg and 1 from Artem Romano. Morg was good with the boot with 6 conversions and 4 penalties as Wigan's ill discipline got to them. Wigan scored 5 tries of their own and should have been 46 points to 30, but Smith's kicking with a boot only saw 1 of his conversions go over. French, Mitski, Marshall and Smithies got the tries for Wigan. And Saturday closed with the game of the weekend, with the Leeds Rhinos being defeated by Castleford Tigers 24 points to 26. Castleford deserved this with 5 tries to 4 in the victory column, and with Gareth Widder kicking 3 goals for their 26 points. Tries from Miller, Wallace, Mellor with 2 and Carey with the 1 to close out the game was enough to see the Cass over the line for the victory. Leeds Rhinos had Darrell Alford, James Bentley, Reece Martin and Mikolaj Alechki to thank for their tries, while Reece Martin was perfect with the boot, 4 from 4. We then moved over to Sunday, where we saw Wakefield defeated for another game as their Leeds Leopards won 30 points to 4. Lachlan Lamb scored a double with Rob Mulhern and Edwin Apapi, as well as Josh Charnley, all going for singles over the try line, before Reynolds scored 1 conversion on the 15th minute. Hardacre kicked 3 conversions and a penalty after Lee was sent to 12 men due to Reynolds' red card for a punch early in the game. While Reynolds was sent off on the 25th minute, on the 28th minute, Lee were down to 11 men as Tom Nesbitt was sent to the sin bin for a hip drop tackle, but Wakefield could not capitalise on this and only had one try to thank in the second half on the 71st minute from Max Jowett, but otherwise it was another defeat for Wakefield. Then our second game on Sunday saw a result that was completely out of the blue, to be fair, as Huddersfield were decimated by St Helens 48 points to 6. I thought Saints would win this before the weekend, but didn't think by this amount, as Huddersfield's season turns lower and lower in the expectations stakes. The game opened well for them as Kevin Nagama went over in the 7th minute and Jake Connor was able to convert, but Saints just trundled in the points and one man was the star of the show. Conrad Hurrell got 2 tries, while Matt Percival scored on the 19th minute for his signal, as well as Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, and Joey Lussick scored on the 4th minute. Tommy Makinson converted 6 of the tries and also scored 4 tries, which has turned out to be 28 points for the St Helens winger, who had a wow of a game to get that record. And we closed off Magic Weekend with Hull FC coming away with the victory, 30 points to 18 against top of the table Warrington Wolves. Well, they weren't top of the table thanks to the Catalans win, but they are now behind Catalans in the table. I'll show you that in a few moments. It was Hull FC's day, and Josh Griffin was the man of the moment as he went over for a hat-trick of tries. Danny Houghton got the try scoring up and running for Hull as a response to Colin Wrench's 3rd minute try. Wrench actually scored a double on the 57th minute, coming either side Griffin's 2nd and 3rd try. Swift got on the end of a Jake Clifford kick into the corner to score in the 44th minute, and Tex Hoy scored in the 74th minute to close the game out for the Black and Whites. Clifford kicked 3 conversions from these 6 attempts. The only other tries that Warrington put on were through George Williams as he went over on the 13th minute after a mistake from Hull. Stephen Ratchford was perfect with a boot, 3 from 3, and his 58th minute one grazed the post as it went over. These games are always brutal affairs, and as we saw with James Batchelor in game 1 and Jack Croft in day 2, both having to be carried off and on stretchers due to their suspected injuries. In day 1, in a challenge, James Batchelor was carried off and sent to hospital with a neck brace on, but was later released to return to Magic Weekend in time for half-time of the 3rd game. On day 2 though, Jack Croft suffered another injury in a tackle, where he was tackling Josh Charnley, you also see in the picture there. Charnley, who had his leg underneath Croft, stayed there and waited, and also concerned about Croft, who was in his 2nd game of his return back to Wakefield. Charnley, in concern for young Croft, said this via Twitter, at Wakefield Trinity: "Any news on the young kid who got taken off yesterday? Hope he's all okay." Which was addressed during the Wakefield's press release on their website. Crofty has been cleared of any serious injury and will be back in contention to play as soon as the symptoms of his injury settle. The game is a tough sport, so obviously players will know about injuries and people who suffer from them and will feel some compassion in any way that they can. It's good that Josh Charnley reached out, and it's good to hear that Jack Croft is on the mend. Hopefully it's not too long before we see him back, as he's just started his Wakefield career back up again. And with that, here is the league table. Catalan's Dragons with their win moved them to the top of the table, and Warrington Wolves could not capitalise and now are second on points differential. Wigan Warriors slips a third as a result of that defeat to Catalans, with Lee Leopards joining them and Salford Red Devils on 18 points apiece. Hull KR dropped down the table from 4th all the way down to 7th, with St Helens victory and them having a game in hand, that against Huddersfield Giants. Leeds staying 8th with their defeat against Castleford Tigers, and Hull FC move up the table to 9th, joining the Rhinos on 12. Then it's the Giants who slip down to 10th place, with Castleford Tigers behind them, 4 points behind now, with their 3 wins, including a double over Leeds this year. Then Wakefield, unfortunately, 14 games played, 14 defeats, and rooted to the bottom of the table. And that continues with the news that the 2023 Super League Magic Weekend has been a roaring success, again with a brilliant overall attendance registered, with 36,943 fans flocking to Newcastle's St James's Park for the first day yesterday. The crowd was built on for the second day, should I say. A total of 26,326 fans made it to the North East for Sunday's fixture as Leeds Leopards hammered Wakefield, Saints put on a show against Huddersfield Giants, and Hull FC recorded an impressive win over Warrington Wolves. That means that there was a cumulative attendance over the 2 days, which came over to a total of 63,269, an increase from the 62,154 fans that made it to Newcastle last year. Of course, with the debate over the future of Magic Weekend taking precedent, it is important to note just how popular the concept has been, with the fans actually viewing on TV, having great spectacles to close out the days, so you were getting better and better results as the days progressed. The game at the end of day 1 between Castleford Tigers and Leeds Rhinos, wow, what a game. And then Hull putting on the display over Warrington Wolves. That sure should drive people to keep watching the sport throughout the 2 9-hour days for rugby league. So what did you think of Magic Weekend this year? I thought it was spectacular. The RFL board, in our second story, have approved a number of changes to the salary cap regulations for 2024. The changes were agreed after consultation with the RFL Commercial Board in Newcastle on Friday, while the regulations covering the Betfred Super League, the Championship, and League One, the changes mostly affect Super League clubs. The finite cap for the Betfred Super League will stay at 2.1 million for a 5th consecutive season, reflecting a recognition from the board and the clubs of the importance of financial sustainability, especially given that the additional consideration of repaying the Sports Survival Fund loans. However, the board have listened to stakeholders, including the RL Commercial Board, and support IMG, the sport's long-term strategic partner, in their view that clubs should be permitted to invest when affordable. There will be significant extensions of the marquee player regulations, which were introduced in 2015, with a fresh emphasis on clubs rewarded for developing outstanding British players and giving clubs additional spending power to those keeping players in the Super League that they have developed. As we discussed in previous episodes, clubs will now be permitted to have 3 marquee players, which is a trend up from the 2 that has been going since 2015, but only if at least one of them is a federation trained player. That means if they've been trained in France or UK. Whereas previously all marquee players counted as £150,000 on a club salary cap, with the club exemption with their club trained players, who counts it as £75,000, there will be a drop in what the player is counted at. Instead of the £75,000 for the club trained marquee player, this will count as £50,000 on the salary cap. May not be paid £50,000, but it's counted as £50,000 according to the salary cap rules. Federation trained marquee players will cost as much as £100,000, and non-federation trained marquee players will remain valued at £150,000 in the salary cap calculation. Other changes will see the increase in the player welfare allowance, which was £15,000 previously to £50,000 per annum, reflecting the sport's commitment to ensuring clubs are placing player welfare at the heart of decision making, and up the value of which under 21 players will be exempt from a salary cap will rise from £25,000 to £30,000. The final changes will see each club in all three competitions set a financial sustainability cap for 2024, set against the financial sustainability regulations, with a working group set up to review the regulations for 2025. The working group will be made of 3 representatives of Super League clubs, 2 from the Championship and League One clubs, 1 from RFL Commercial and 1 from IMG, as well as 2 from RFL, the Director of Finance, Facilities and Central Services, and Robert Hicks, the Director of Operations and Legal, who will chair the group. Implementing the IMG recommendations around the salary cap floor and looking at ways of ensuring sustainability and sustainable investment and protecting the overall financial sustainability of our professional game. The RFL's Director of Legal Operations and Legal, Robert Hicks, said in a statement, "In making these recommendations, which have now been approved by the RFL board and reviewed by the RL Commercial board, we had to balance a number of differing considerations and also differing views amongst Super League clubs. Financial sustainability remains imperative for the credibility of Super League competition and rugby league as a sport, and also to ensure our clubs meet their obligations to government under the Sports Survival Fund as we continue to rebuild after the pandemic. We must also recognise the need for Super League to remain an elite and attractive competition nationally and internationally. That is challenging as we welcome the growing strength of the NRL and the NRLW. As good news for the sport of rugby league, it can only increase the lure of a move to the Southern Hemisphere for our leading players. Therefore, we agree with IMG, our strategic partner, that we should amend the cap regulations to allow clubs to spend more on keeping our outstanding homegrown players in Super League's competition, and also to increase the salary cap rewards for those who develop their own players. We also have increased the rewards for clubs who invest significantly in player welfare, taking account of the strong views of clubs that we need to reward investments on the player pathway and welfare provisions. The introduction of a financially sustainability cap for each club is also significant, allowing closer real-time monitoring of the off-field health of our clubs. And the new working group will allow a range of views, including from the clubs and IMG, to contribute to our discussion about the further amends to the cap from 2025. It's an interesting time to be a rugby league player, as it seems that the aim is to grow the financial backup for clubs, players, their welfare, everything like that, which does seem like that it will leave the Championship and League One clubs behind in the dust a little bit, to be fair. We can't have everything all at once, otherwise it wouldn't be sustainable. There's not a lot of money in rugby league, and that is mostly rugby league's fault, and we need a partnership like IMG that could potentially bring in more money. As we said before, it may upset some people and it may leave some more people behind. We have to look down under though, as they are bringing in the numbers of people watching the game. Yes, it's a higher rated sport in terms of popularity in Australia, but with that, the eyes are coming from the sponsors as well. More people are seeing the advertised product. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share this video worldwide, and also click that notification bell for any updates on new videos that may be coming away in the near future. As I said at the beginning of the episode, what have you got to lose by clicking that subscribe button? Doesn't cost you anything, and it only helps this channel. You have to put up with this mug. I know that's going to cost you, so I apologise with that in advance. But we hopefully can get the word out in rugby league. There's many podcasts out there. There's many people talking about rugby league. So go and watch them too. Grow the sport. Grow rugby league. We need you. But for now, if you feel like I'm enough to watch, click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share this video worldwide. And I'll end the episode as you always do by wishing you all the very best. So please stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.